no other adults around, and like I said, she's, she disowned me a bunch of times and blamed us for wanting to kill herself, and we ruined her lives, and she was going to kill herself, and it was pretty awful. And then we'd come down and see Dad twice a year, and we never talked about it, right? Because for me, she blamed me, and I was very attached to her.
For you?
Oh yeah, and so that I took it on myself that it's my fault and I need to keep this woman alive, and I did everything I could to do that, and so therefore I wasn't going to talk to anyone about it, because the only response I would get is, well, it is your fault. What are you doing wrong? Yeah. And so I never talked to Dad about that. I wrote him a ton, and I remember in some of which he saved all of them. I have all of them. I said, Mom really hates herself. I hate living here. I wish I could live with you, but I don't, I couldn't live in New York City. And like, I had a really great relationship with him. Like, I loved him, but I really didn't know him, right?
Yeah.
Because I was 9 when we went up there, and I only see him a little bit, and it was, her instability was never ever talked about, and he never brought it up either, so along those lines, and so I never even knew she was religious, ever.
She never,
my mom never, because by the time I was cognizant of it, she hated religion. Wow. And I never even, I see pictures of her now as a beautiful dancer. She was nothing like that. Like, she was a bitter, angry, very bitter and angry.
Wow.
Now, so my brother remembers getting the call about the annulment process, which was your letter. And that's because he had met Chris and he wanted to get married in the Catholic Church with you presiding over it, correct?
Did I marry him? I forget if I did I?
Well, I reached out to Chris too, the ex-wife, and the annulment wasn't granted. Like I said, it was only your letter that was produced, and that you did marry them, but not in the church.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I can't remember that now, really? Unless in the chapel?
I'd have to look at that information, but she didn't let us go. My mother didn't let us go to the wedding. But my brother remembers being there in Vermont when she got the call about the annulment process, and her whole life changed. It was her faith was being pulled. I mean, it was a dissolution of 9 years or how many years of marriage and 3 children. This faith that she had, because up to that point I think she was still very religious, that she relied on, and then all of a sudden the church is asking to have the entire union, which produced 3 children, erased. Now, my question is, when you wrote this, did you think about the ramifications on her?
No,
or were you just thinking about Tommy?
Yeah, I was thinking about Tommy. I'm trying to remember it now. Chris is the woman you met in Florida somewhere. Is that the one?
He met her. I don't know where they met, or she went to Florida. I think they met here. The stepwife, and that's who he remarried. She was an oddball too, but I believe that's why the whole annulment process began. The letter from you, but I think it really tore out my mother.
He was granted annulment.
So this is where it's such a mystery to me. You wrote it in 1975 when they got divorced, and I think it was because they wanted to marry in the Catholic Church, and you said only if you have an annulment.
Right.
The next stuff is 1984 from Al Pearson and Dad, and then I have all the records from the church here. That he saved everything, all of this. Thank you for your preliminary state. This is 1983, 1984. There appears to be sufficient information to present to petition for annulment. Then this is, and I don't know if Rita Lear, my mom, ever read any of this. I don't know if she ever submitted anything on her behalf, And then it says that this is all just about financial stuff of how to, and this says it is accepted the petition alleging the nullity of the marriage
Yeah.
Is this granting that annulment? Is this a
Probably.
certificate saying
I
that?
knew him too. I knew
So
the
they
man who
did
signed
grant
it.
the annulment,
Yeah, let's see.
I'm sorry.
but this is 9 years after the lease